Welcome, everyone, to another Will's Week in Whiskey. I've got a breaking news edition for you on this Monday, January 25th, 2021, and that is that MGP has announced the acquisition of Luxco. So what does this mean for everyone? Well, if you've been watching Will's Week in Whiskey, I've been talking about both of these companies for weeks now. I've noticed moves at Luxco, some rebranding of some things, releasing of new products. So I've been talking about them. Also, last week, I talked about MGP offering more barrel program offerings with both the George Remus brand bourbon and the Rossville Union Rye. And so I'm going to get into a little bit of that in a minute, but I do want to go over some of the details of this merger or this acquisition that has been announced by MGP. So it is based on a valuation of $475 million for the acquisition of Luxco. Now, we know the brands that come along with it with bourbon. We know the Rebel bourbon brand. We know that they have the Ezra Brooks brand. They have Yellowstone. They also have El Mayor tequila. They have Everclear grain neutral spirits. If you're into that, maybe some Hunch Punch days are behind you. Maybe they're not. But it is a big acquisition, and it is going to be done with an equal parts cash and stock purchase. So it's going to be the shareholders of Luxco will receive $238 million cash, as well as 5 million shares of MGP stock. Now, it also will allow the nomination of 2 Luxco shareholders to the board of the company, of MGP. So there will still be a Luxco representative. I know they mentioned that Don Lux of the Lux family will be the first nominee to the board of MGP. And so this is a big deal. It shows what I was talking about last week, that MGP is looking for ways to get some of their whiskey that they have produced and aged out into the marketplace in different ways. This is a big move. These brands are already set up in across the country distribution platforms. They have sales reps. They have established brands. They have history behind it. So MGP is utilizing that with this acquisition of Luxco to get their whiskey into the pipeline in a different way, rather than just the startup brands of their own of the George Remus bourbon and the Rossville Union. It's adding to that portfolio. It's making another route for revenue through their spirits production. Now, MGP also does commercial grade alcohols for different purposes, different solvents, different things like that. It's not just the consumable alcohol market that they produce for. However, this is going to beef up that what already was big. Now, I think that this is something, obviously, that's been in the works for a while. Nearly $500 million deal doesn't happen overnight. And if you go back to early 2020, late 2019, there were some issues with some of the stock of whiskey, their aged whiskey that they had bet on, that they weren't moving quite as quickly as shareholders would like. And that actually caused, in late 2019, early 2020, a 25% drop in their stock price when they announced that there was kind of a bog down in the sales of the aged whiskey stocks. Now, if you're looking at the financial shape of the company at the end of this year, they do seem to have turned that around. They were having great earnings reports and things of that nature, but a lot of that was coming from outside of the consumable whiskey portfolio of the brand. This seems to be a way to really boost this up, get the stock out that they need to through a brand of their own. And I think it's a really smart move on the company's part. They've already got the marketing and the distribution framework laid down from this company, Luxco, that's been around a long time. And these brands, Yellowstone and Rebel Bourbon and Ezra Brooks, are old brands. They've been around for a long time, and they have already built up reputations behind them. It is going to be interesting because the sourced whiskey that Luxco was using will now more than likely be from Lawrenceburg, Indiana, if that is their plan. It doesn't explicitly say that, but that's the purpose of purchasing this. So that'll be interesting once they start doing that path, producing more of their own in that and releasing whiskey through those stocks. It's going to be interesting to see how it tastes. I'm excited about it. Now for my analysis portion of what I think has really happened. Some of the things I've been talking about on this show, like Rebel Yell bourbon, shifting to Rebel bourbon. When you look at it through the lens now that they were working on this acquisition, that makes sense. Doing a rebrand of something as a part of a transition to new ownership really does make sense. And I knew something had to be happening at Luxco because of moves like that, releasing the new Ezra Brooks 99 that I just talked about last week. And as well as when you marry that with the fact that I said it clearly, MGP is looking for ways to get more of their whiskey directly into the consumer's hands without just selling stocks to non-distiller producers. So I think it's a really interesting move. I think it's a really big move for whiskey. I think it puts them as a major player. Not that they already weren't a major player, but a direct-to-consumer major player. We're going to see a lot more of MGP out there now and through their own released whiskey. With these new brands. So now Luxco most likely will no longer be a non-distiller producer. It will be putting out whiskey from the old Seagram's distillery, Lawrenceburg, Indiana, and we're going to see that on the shelves. And I think it will be interesting to see how the marketplace reacts. I'm excited about it. I really like this move, and I was excited when I saw it. So I thought I'd get to you as quick as I could with a breaking news edition of Will's Weekend Whiskey. Thank you all for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell so you get updates. Check out Grease's show, Killing It with Grease. We've got a brand new show we're starting this week on Friday called Drinking With. And our first guest you're not going to want to miss. We're going to tease that out here in the next couple days. You're going to really love it. It's going to be very casual, sitting back, having whiskey with a friend over the internet. And as always, you can listen to the podcast at thepodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much for watching this week on Will's Weekend Whiskey. I'll talk to you soon.